don't remember all the details. So come and hear an interesting story. I always say as a Doma that there's many stories about the Rebbe that sometimes you don't know, is it true, is it not true, is it made up, is it exaggerated? You know, there's an expression in Yiddish, the Maisot Abod. That's not the Maisot Abod. Because in Yiddish, Yedei Netzuye Gemahar, if in the heart is that's gewachsen Abod. You know, but the story that I'm going to tell you is a story was, I can say, b'didi havi uvda, by a member of my family. And the story goes as follows. I have a son who was a Talmud in yeshiva. He went to New York, he went in California, he went in different Lubavitch yeshivas. And he didn't go on shlichus, but he went into business. And at that time, today he's in a different business, but at that time, he was a partner with a group of Chaverim, not Lubavitch even, in the nursing home business. And the inyan was to have as many nursing homes as possible. So in every business, if you want to get something, there's a broker. If you're looking for a house, you go to a broker. If you're looking for other businesses, a store, there's a broker. So the brokers knew already that this group is looking for a nursing home, and they're good customers. So the brokers tried to find for them nursing homes. He gets a call from a broker, and the broker tells him the following. He says, I'm calling to tell you that there's a nursing home that's available for sale. But there's one problem. It belongs to a group of nuns. You know what nuns are? That's the women that give up their life for the church. And the whole day, supposedly, they're davening and everything, but lav dafka, they do business, and there's many wealthy nuns also. Would you be interested to buy this home? Somebody once says, makes no difference to me to who it belonged. It's not a church. Why not? Okay. So he says, I'll get back to you. A few days later, he calls him back, and he says, I discussed it with them, and they're interested to sell, but they have a condition. Their condition is that they don't do business tamazay with anybody. They like to know with who they're doing business. So, would you be agreeing to meet them? I said, yeah, I'll meet them. So they made an appointment, a date. They were someplace not in New York, and they have their house where they live over there, and they have offices there, not in the church. And they came down to meet them. So there was a group of nuns sitting there, and the oldest amongst them, she was the head of the group, and she says to him, could you tell us something about you? We want to know who we're doing business with. So he says to them, I don't know all the details, but he said to them like this. He said, I'm a Jewish boy. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I went to yeshiva, and I lived in Crown Heights, in Brooklyn, and he tells them that, and then later when I graduate, I got married, I have children, I'm in business. So she says to him, you mentioned Crown Heights. Is that where the Rebbe lives? So he says to her, he says, yeah, Crown Heights is the headquarters where the Rebbe lives. So he says to her, could you tell us something about the Rebbe? So he says, what I could tell you about the Rebbe is that by the Lubavitcher Chassidim at that time, the custom was that when you have your birthday, your Yom HaLedes, so you could come to see the Rebbe personally. They call it Yechidus, a private audience with the Rebbe. So once a year, my mother would go into the Rebbe. And that particular time when she came into the Rebbe, she discussed certain things. I don't know all the things she discussed, but I know the Rebbe said to her, you have to have another child. So my mother told the Rebbe that I would like to, but my doctor doesn't recommend it. So the Rebbe said, but I do recommend it. So my mother decided not to listen to the doctor and to listen to the Rebbe, and I was born. Okay. Then he says to this nun, why are you so interested in the Rebbe? You know the Rebbe. What do you got to do with the Rebbe? So she says, I'll tell you a story. And she told him the following story. That not only do they have this home over here, which is now up for sale, but they have other homes. And they also have a home in Ireland. And there's a galach, I don't know if she said a galach or a father, I don't know how she called him, that manages it. And during the year, I make some trips to Ireland to get a report from him about how the home was running. So one year, I went out to Ireland, and I met with the galach. Again, I don't know if she said the father, but I met with the galach, and we sat for a period of time, and then the galach says to me, I have to excuse myself now for a little bit of time. Okay. I said, of course, if he wants me, well, why not? So it was like a lunch break. And she tells them that the place where they met was like a long hall, like over here, like a long hall, with rooms off the hall. Rooms off the hall. So, in the middle of the time when he was away, I took a walk down the hallway, and I noticed that one door was a little bit open. So I managed, I peeked into the room to see what's open, and I was shocked. I saw the galach sitting in Talis and Tefillin. Now, she tells my son, how do I know about Talis and Tefillin? She says, I grew up in the Bronx. And that time, the neighborhood where she grew up in the East Bronx was a Jewish neighborhood. So I had a lot of friends, Jewish friends, and they used to invite me to their parties. She knew the bar mitzvahs and the bas mitzvahs, and I was the Shabbos Goya in the neighborhood. So I knew about all these things. And when I saw him sitting, the way he was sitting, I recognized that it's a Talis and Tefillin. So I didn't say anything. But later when he came back to continue the meeting, so I asked him, my high? Well, I saw something very strange. So he says to her, where's some water? He says to her the following. He says, lately, I'm having dreams. And in the dream, a man is coming to me with a bed, and he's telling me, you don't belong here. This is not your place. And I started doing research, and I found out that during the war, I'm actually a Holocaust survivor, and during the war, my parents, who were Jewish, I don't know, they were killed or they ran away, and I was taken in by a Catholic family. And this Catholic family sent me to school and everything, and I learned everything about the Christian religion. And I ended up being a galach. And these dreams kept going on. And I'll tell you one time I realized what the dream was about. Now, from where the dream came. If you remember, there was once a Verbrengen, Hanukkah. It was a Verbrengen where they worked out, I forgot what they called it, that they worked out that from all over the world, at the same time when they were lighting Hanukkah candles over here in New York, there was
Hanukkah Live.
Huh?
Hanukkah Live.
Hanukkah Live.
Satellite.
And if you remember, that time, most of it were right for bringing. In front of the Rebbe, not where the Rebbe stands, but the Rebbe stands, he turned around, and on the floor there was like a camera that showed what's going on in all the places that are tied into this Hanukkah life. And that was the man that came in my dream. And so she says, I found out that rabbi that is talking to my galach was the rabbi who lived in Crown Heights in Brooklyn. So I decided I got to meet this man. So she called 770, and they told her that the Rebbe doesn't have any more private audiences, but on Sundays he gives out dollars to people for charity. And people that want to come to him join the line, and when they reach him, so he receives $1. So she said, I decided one Sunday I'm going to go. So my son says to her, did you go with these clothing that you're wearing now? You know, they wear their levushim. She says, no, I'm not that foolish. He says, I put on a hat and a dress, you know, to be like one of the women over there. And I came there, and there was a long line, and I waited on the line till it finally came my next. When it came my next, I passed up in front of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave me $1. As I started walking away, the Rebbe called me back and said, here's another $1 for Ireland. That's the story that I had with the Rebbe. And she showed him that she had a picture of the Rebbe and so on and so forth. I mean, the rest of it, I don't know what happened after. People listen to what happened with the Galach and everything. But that's the story.